everybody. Again, I'm Autumn and I am back to give some advice and take a moment of appreciation for daddies. The name of this episode is Daddies Do It Different, because that is so true. So first of all, I just want to start off by saying that I am so fortunate to have my partner, who is, my son's daddy, be involved and interested and loving and supportive. Not everyone has that. So I am so thankful to have that. And this is going to talk about, how to encourage that behavior. So daddies do it different. They do everything differently. They do playtime differently. They do caretaking differently. And that's okay. That's why we have a daddy and a mommy, is because they're two different figures. So one thing that I think that we accidentally do, and if you don't, great, but I know that I do, and maybe it's part of becoming a new parent, but I felt myself kind of being controlling a little bit, or at least wanting to be, thinking that I had read more books, I had carried him in my womb, and that maybe my way was better. And that is definitely not true. I want to do this with my partner, and sometimes that takes just needing to take a step back, So when you do have a daddy that's willing to be involved and help and, wants to be a daddy, we definitely don't want to scare them away by nagging. And nobody wants to be a nag. It's a negative connotation thing, right? So, by the way, I have little notes down here because I don't want to get flustered. So if I keep looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So we don't want to be a nag, right? Being a new parent is really hard. It's amazing, but it's hard on yourself just individually. It's a difficult task, but it's hard on your marriage too. All of a sudden there's new relationships in your house. There's you and your baby's relationship. There's your husband and your partner and your baby's relationship. And then there's your marriage, or your partnership has changed drastically too. And the one thing that hasn't changed is that you and your partner are a team. So you want to do things together and you want to move forward together and make it a positive experience, right? Plus, if you let your partner have their relationship with your baby, you're just going to fall more in love with them. So you really want to encourage that. And things like, I definitely read a ton of books while I was pregnant, and I wanted my husband to, and I tried to be kind of aggressive about it, and then finally I just kind of backed off, because it was like, well, I don't want to be nagging and pushing to make him do something that he doesn't want to do. And let me tell you, my husband is a wonderful daddy. Okay, so we've established that we don't want to nag, but it's undeniable that there's certain things that need to be taught, whether you have more experience doing them because of other babies in your life, or maybe you read a ton of books. So teaching is not nagging. You teach a skill, but you have to keep this in mind. Like in the medical profession, their saying is see one, do one, teach one. So that means that you don't teach it every time. You're like, okay, here's how I put him in the car seat. I do the straps like this, da-da-da-da-da, talk him through it. And then the next time it comes to put the baby in the car seat, guess whose turn it is? And no, that doesn't mean that you sit there and talk them through it as they do it. You back the fuck off, because you've already given them the tools to succeed at it. Now, when you're teaching, something that I have found to be helpful is, and just with all communication, be very aware of your tone. Don't be condescending. Oh, honey, don't do that shit ever. It never gets you anywhere. But also your choice of words goes a long way. Like for instance, I will say to my husband, hey, can I show you? Hey, can I help you? And then I'll also say what I have found works best for me. Because then it's not like, I am the best and my way is the only fucking way. It's like, well, I'm learning too, right? That's the whole thing about being a new parent with your partner. I'm learning too. There may be some things that I'm better at, so I want to help you be great at those. So what I have found works best for me. I like that terminology. So fun little story to kind of go along with the theme of this whole thing. The first week that we had the baby home, we were just doing all of his diaper changes right on our bed because we were basically living in our bedroom, right? And when I would change his diaper, I would use this tiny little, you know, like changing table pad thing. So it's like, you know, about this big. And my husband was using, like, our midwives had left these receiving blanket sized throwaway, almost like a medical pad, but it was like about the size of a receiving blanket. So my husband had already learned how to like change a diaper, right? So we're like in the process that way. But at one point I was like either getting food or going to the bathroom or something. And he was changing the diaper and I walked by the bedroom and I looked in and his entire pad was covered in shit. And there were wipes everywhere. And it was like, everything in me wanted to go in there and be like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck has happened here? This is a disaster zone. How did this even happen? But you can't do that. You can't do that. Instead, you just take a deep breath and you keep walking. Because why? Because you trust your partner to do this job. Plus, you need the fucking help. So if you give them the task, then you back up at that point. And if you're having a hard time backing up, then you need to find something to do. You probably haven't washed your face in a while. Maybe you haven't gotten to cut your nails or go on a walk, check your email, do something. But step away from the situation because once it's in their hands, it is no longer in your hands. That's the beauty of it, is it's a team. So you just gotta know when to step away. All of this also applies to housework, right? Because that's another part of it. You have this newborn baby, but you also have still laundry that needs to get done, dishes, sweeping the floor, all this shit. Things that may not have been your husband's jobs before, or your partner's jobs before. Well, now while you're feeding the baby and, you know, a baby's a full-time job, somebody's got to do that housework stuff. Now, just because they're doing it differently does not make it wrong. Daddies just do it different. And then, of course, give thanks. Make sure that they feel your appreciation for their involvement, for their wanting and excitement. I mean, they will feel the gratification with the bond with their baby, but it's important to come from you too. There's a lot of single mommies out there, and I cannot even imagine doing that. So just make sure that your man feels the appreciation for him being there and doing the hard work. You know, if it's a card, if it's a gift, if it's cuddles, if it's a little, whatever it is, make sure he's taken care of. All right. Thanks for tuning in, kids.